The San Jose Barracuda host their first ever playoff game at Texas Arena on Friday. We get you ready for their series against the Eagles.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first or potentially second listen of the day. If you want to be an everyday, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. And we continue with our Barracuda coverage here. Mostly on YouTube. This is just going to be a YouTube exclusive. But we're going to get you ready for the Barracuda's series against the first seed Colorado Eagles. So we're going to look at how these two teams match up, look at this Eagles roster, the Barracuda getting healthier, look at the potential lines going into game one, and then the keys and X factors for this series. So just a couple things. One, AHL, a little bit funky, of course. So this is a best of 5 series. The format goes 2 games at home for the Barracuda, at least. So 2 games at home. Game 1 Friday night at 7 p.m. Game 2 Sunday at 6 p.m. And then the series shifts to Colorado for the final potential 3 games. Colorado hosts on Tuesday, 6:05. Wednesday, 6:05, and then there's a game 5 that won't be until Sunday at 2:05, which is interesting with the large amount of time there, but still. So best of 5 series, first of 3 wins. So let's start by kind of looking at how these two teams match up. So again, Colorado, number 1 team for the Pacific, have not played since the end of the regular season. Of course, your Barracuda coming off a 2-game sweep of the Ontario Reign down in LA. So Barracuda 36-27-9, Colorado 43-21-8. The Barracuda third in the AHL with 3.39 goals for per game. Goals allowed 3.21, 22nd. Power play first in the AHL at 24%. PK 82.5 at 16%. For the Eagles, 3.47 goals per game. Number 1 offense in the entire AHL. Goals allowed 2.57, 4th best in the AHL. Power play 20.1%, 8th. PK 84.9%, 6th. Poturalski, of course, led the Barracuda in goals with 30, assists with 43, and points with 73. Your MVP for the Eagles, old friend Jacob MacDonald led the team in goals with 31. TJ Tynan, 41 assists. And Phillips led the Eagles in points. So let's focus on the Eagles here first and kind of get to know them before we kind of shift over to the Barracuda. So, of course, the Eagles' old friend Jacob MacDonald setting an AHL record with goals for a defenseman with 31. This is a team that, much like the Barracuda, get a lot of scoring. It's a very deep team. They can get scoring from a lot of different players. They had 9 players who had at least 31 points on this team. And then among goal scorers, they had 11 double-digit goal scorers. So a lot of guys who can put the puck in the back of the net for them or continue to add points. Again, Jacob MacDonald, 31 goals, 24 assists, 55 points. Noted defenseman. Outstanding season from him. You have guys like Ty Fehlhaber, Jason Megna. Like, these are a lot of kind of like veteran AHL dudes. Like, this is a very veteran team. Chris Wagner also had 19 goals in 44 games. Matthew Phillips, 18. Like, he, led the team in with actual points. This is a very veteran team with a lot of different dudes who can score goals for them. But I think the big story for for Colorado has been their goaltending. They have multiple players, including Trent Miner, who have been outstanding for them. Trent Miner playing 38 games this season, posting a 22-10-6 record with a 212 goals against and a 918 save percentage. Absolutely just ridiculous season from Trent Miner. So I think that is going to be kind of one of the big stories for the Eagles. It's just like how there's a very deep team that has a very lot of top end talent and good goaltending. So the Barracuda definitely are going to have to earn this series here. So let's look at, before we kind of continue, the Barracuda themselves, right? Looks like they're starting to get healthy with the exception of Andrew Poturalski, right? And Poturalski is a huge, huge loss for the Barracuda because of, led the AHL in scoring, literally the AHL MVP. Massive loss for him. So he is back in San Jose. Congratulations to the Poturalski family as they brought in, celebrated the birth of a child. Back in San Jose, rehabbing right now, as still kind of considered week to week. So if this series stretches out, maybe you might get him for that game 5, but it's looking more and more. My guess is he's probably looking more and more until round 3 as a potential option for Poturalski to return. But Barracuda are getting much healthier. Shang Peng of course, San Jose Hockey Now. Wednesday, he had the lines of Danil Gushchin, who again missed the entire series versus Ontario. Colin White, Colin Graff, the Colin line, Regenda, Beasted, Cardwell, Donovan Hull, who left the last game with after he'd taken a puck to the head, Ostapchuk, and then Giles, Sabrin, Van Roboys, Vincent, with Dewar, Chernyshov, and Westy as extras. And then defensively, you have Jimmy Schultz, Lucas Carlsson. Again, Lucas Carlsson missed the last series. Congratulations to the Carlsons, birth of a child as well. It was really, side note, kind of cool that the Carlsons and the Poturalskis, their kids were born like a day apart. But anyway, Kenyoni Frisch, Heshe Thompson, and then Furlong Keene would be the extras. So getting much healthier. So still no Bordelot, but it sounds like he's getting back on the ice. So I kind of assume he's not in game 1, maybe an option for game 2. Hopefully is traveling with the team to Colorado to be an option for 3, 4, or 5 if necessary for those games. So Barracuda is starting to get healthy, and I think Danil Gushchin coming back is a huge, huge piece, right? Gushchin was the second leading scorer on the Barracuda. We know what he can do on the power play. Power play looked okay-ish in Ontario, but getting Gushchin back will be a huge, huge part. Also good to see, of course, Luca Cagnoni, who left game 2, had to get the whole bubble shield and stuff. Good to see that he's back. Sounds like he's no worse for the wear as well. So good time for the Barracuda to start to get healthy, especially as they go up against a tough matchup in the Colorado Eagles. So we're going to look at the keys to this series, kind of the things I think, and then we're going to try to identify an X factor for both teams here. So, or at least X factor for the Barracuda and X factor for the what the Barracuda need to do to stop the Eagles and get another upset. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices, no console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. And if you already have a console, Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, especially if you got kids games that you need to play. You can plug in, you're good to go. Plus, of course, with Fire TV Stick 4K, you can stream Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, whatever you need. They got you covered there as well. So head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, second generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, first and second gens, and Fire TV Cube, third generation. All right. Let's start with the keys to this series. And for the Barracuda, I think number one, you have to start this series on time. You cannot mess around. Eagles have not played since the end of their regular season in mid-April. It has been a couple weeks now, right? So the whole rest versus rust debate. And when it gets to this long of not playing, I feel like it's an advantage for the Barracuda who just played, right? You just got through a series. You played very well in a very grinded out type of series. You have to start this series on time. Friday night, 7. As soon as that puck drops, you need to be go because one, you're gonna have a packed house. That Texas Arena is going to be bonkers, right? This is the first taste of playoff hockey we've had in San Jose this decade, right? It's been a while since the Barracudas or the Sharks have played a playoff game in San Jose. That place is going to be bonkers. So feed off the energy. Be ready to go game one. Okay? Because if the pathway is to this series, you have to win both games at home, and then you just got to steal one on the road, right? That's the pathway to this series. So starting out game one on Friday against a team that has not played hockey. Yes, I know they've practiced, but it is different, right? Especially against a Barracuda team that has kind of been in playoff mode the past couple weeks. You know, just the end of the season, right? Trying to secure your spot. You played very close playoff games against the Ontario Reign that came down to, Barracuda taking advantage of their mistakes and excellent goaltending. You got to feel like the energy, at least to start the series, is going to be in the Barracuda's favor. So take advantage of that. Number two, right? Both these teams are very even when it comes to like power play, when it comes to it's the first best offense in the AHL, not just the Pacific, the entire AHL. Number one with the Barracuda or with the Eagles. Number 3 with the Barracuda here. So you have two of the best offenses going at it. But I do think, right, having Askarov, of course, big game changer. And I know Askarov played about half the games this season against the Eagles. And honestly, not his best performances here. So I think he needs to continue to play the way he played against Ontario Reign, right? But going back to kind of how these two teams match up offensively, both can score. The Barracuda a little bit better at kind of creating shots on goal compared to Colorado. The Barracuda number 1 team in the AHL when it comes to actual like shots on goal, with about 32 shots on goal for the season. Colorado a little bit. They're again nothing bad. They're like middle of the pack when it comes to shots on goal at 29.06. But when it comes to shots against, Colorado 10th best at 27.68. The Barracuda near the bottom at 31.67 shots. So the Barracuda, they could have played high event hockey, right? We're going to take a lot of shots. We're going to give up a lot of shots. Colorado's a little bit more even there. So I do think, right, you're going to have to try to limit Colorado as best you can, especially for a team that can score a lot of goals on not as many shots. And for the Barracuda, right, you have to control the pace. I think you have to control the pace. You have to control the puck. That is what you do best, right? Is the Barracuda are at their best when they have the puck and they are controlling the puck. So stick to what you know. I do think the Barracuda's power play should be improved with Gushchin. We'll talk about Gushchin here more in a second. So hopefully with Gushchin back, it'll be a little bit more lethal. It did what it had to do against the Reign, but you're going to have to take it up a next step here. So, but the PK, I feel like the PK has been trending really well over the last couple of games here. With the additions of Giles and Graf, who have been excellent PKers, very aggressive, right? Giles getting a shorthanded goal in the he's gotten a couple of shorties here. We know we've seen Graf be able to do the same thing. Cardwell, Beasted, the Barracuda have really improved their PK over the last month here, and it's going to be tested against this very good Eagles team, and especially Jacob MacDonald. So the X factors in this series, I do think it's Daniel Gushchin for the Sharks. Last series, we talked about Askarov and his ability to play kind of up to the standards, especially what turned out to be Askarov was the key to that series because you scored 4 goals and you gave up 1 in a 2-game span. I expect to be a little bit more offense in here. So Askarov's going to have to make some saves, right? He's going to have to make some big saves, but it's I don't think the Askarov and the Barracuda can shut the Eagles down the same way that you shut down the Reign, right? They have too many options, and it's just too good of a team. I don't think it's a realistic. So you're going to have to get some more goals, and I think that's where Daniel Gushchin comes in. Gushchin has been a player who can be either ice cold or extremely hot. So he needs to hit the ground running, right? Because especially coming back from an injury, we've seen him sometimes take a little bit of time to kind of get back into the flow of things. The Barracuda don't have time for that, right? It's a best of 5 series against a very high-powered offense. Gushchin needs to be on his game from the get-go. So I know he's dealing with it was just an illness, right? So hopefully he's back to being himself here, but he's got to be ready to go. He needs to take over Poturalski's scoring duties here, because you're not going to win. You can't beat the Eagles if you're scoring 2 goals a game, right? This team is just too good. So, I don't expect this to be like a 6-5 type of performance. You need to be able to put up 6 on a given night, just because you never know when the Eagles can put up 5. So I don't that's not going to win you every playoff game, but don't be surprised if there is one of these type of games where it just turns into a 6-5 type of performance. I think if Gushchin is playing up to what we've seen from Gushchin kind of the last month of the season, I do feel like the Barracuda have a good chance. On the other side, it's how do you stop Jacob MacDonald, right? Put up 31 goals. AHL, NHL veteran, he's played a bajillion years. And I think for the Barracuda, right, having the bigger bodies, guys like Ostapchuk and Giles, and if Walker Dewar gets in, and Regenda, and the Sabrin Van Roe boys, Vincent Line, and Donovan Holt, all those bigger bodies, anytime you get a chance to kind of put some, I'm not saying go out and injure. That's one, hear me out. I'm not saying go out and injure, but just make Jacob MacDonald uncomfortable. Okay. The Barracuda have plenty of big boys now. They've solved that problem of just being a smaller team. The Cuda have big boys who can play big boy playoff hockey. We saw that against the Reign, right? If you want to get physical, we got the horses. We can get physical. Again, I'm not saying go out and take out, that is the last thing I want to do, because I want to see great hockey. And Jacob MacDonald had a great season. But you need to try to limit his effectiveness by just making it harder for him to do his job, whether that's right sitting in front of one, just staying in your own offensive zone, but two, especially when he's in the zone, pressuring him as best you can and making sure he's not just able to operate cleanly at the blue line, because he will pick you apart. He did it all season long. 31 goals this year as a defenseman. So I do like even though this is going to be a tough series, I actually think this series does go 5, but I think with the Barracuda getting healthy, I think their Barracuda's ability to play multiple styles of game, right? If you want to play a 2-1 grinded out game, we have Askarov, and we feel like with Askarov, we're pretty if Askarov is locked in like he was against the Reign, we're pretty unstoppable. If you want to get into a track meet and play 6-5, we got the horses to do that, right? Colin Graff had a great performance against the Reign. Gushchin, Colin White, who stepped up immensely. We have depth scoring. We have Luca Cagnoni, like this, and we're getting Lucas Carlsson back. Like this team is getting a lot of pieces back here. So I think the Barracuda's ability to play different styles of hockey, and it's always been with the Barracuda, they can play with anybody as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot. I feel like this team is locked in. I feel like they win this. I do feel like it goes 5, but I feel like they win it in 5. I feel like we get a game 5 victory in Colorado. So we will do postcast for most of the games. Friday, I might be in San Jose. If I'm in San Jose, of course, there'll be no postcast. If I'm not, you will do a live postcast on YouTube. Definitely live postcast Sunday night. So like double check on YouTube. You'll see the links ahead of time. We'll go about 10 to 15 minutes after the game. We'll hang out. We'll talk Barracuda, all that fun stuff. So make sure you're following along wherever you get podcasts. Of course, watch on YouTube, as well as all this Barracuda stuff will be extra content on YouTube. So make sure you're following along. And yeah, till tomorrow. Bye, friends.